Jy kyk en luister na die groot ontbyt en volgens navorsing sal 'n geskatte 1,8 miljard mense in gebiede wat deur waterskaarste geraak word teen 2025 dan nou woon, met 2/3 van die wêreld se bevolking wat in waterbedreigde streke gaan woon. Nou, Mina Guli is 'n wateraktivis en ook dan nou die hoofuitvoerende beampte van Thirst, en sy sluit nou via Skype by ons aan vanuit Australië. Sy gaan oor haar 100 marathons in 100 dae veldtog met ons gesels. 'n Ongelooflike inisiatief om bewusmaking oor die wêreldwye waterkrisis te skep. So Mina, good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be there in spirit.
Based on your experience, how big is this problem?
So experts predict that by 2030, there's going to be a 40% greater demand for water than the supply of water available. When you think about that in real numbers, that's an enormous issue. And it's not just a problem for cities like Cape Town. It's a problem for cities like London and Miami and New York and Tokyo, and cities where lots and lots of people live. So this is not just a problem that we can expect is going to go away. It's a problem that's going to get worse, and it's going to get bigger, and it's going to affect more and more people across the globe.
Very concerning. Just give us a little bit background with regard to your campaign that you are busy with.
Yeah, so when I realized that this is such a huge problem and it's going to affect so many of us in so many ways, I wanted to do something about it, because I was horrified that even though I'd grown up through a drought in Australia, I didn't realize just how big this water problem was. And so even though I'm not a runner and I'm not a big fan of running, I wanted to do something that was outside my comfort zone, that would really illustrate the size and enormity of this problem. And so came up with the idea that I would run marathons, because they're 42 kilometers, and that represents the 40% gap between demand and supply for water. And I would go to places that I could tell stories about the water crisis and show people that this is not just something you read in a book or see on a computer. This is something that's very real. It affects all of us, and it affects all of us in a very, very obvious way when we actually look out and see it. So that's how we came up with this idea. And I think the final part is I wanted to run 100 marathons, because in order for us to really solve this problem, we have to be 100% committed to doing that. And for me, that the 100 marathons in 100 days is a symbol of doing that.
This crisis also has a huge effect on the economy.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that it's easy for us to think about water as the water that comes out of a tap. But the reality is that the water we use every day is actually 90% outside our homes. It's in the things that we use and buy and consume every day. So for example, the cotton shirt that I'm wearing, the pair of jeans, the shoes, the mobile phone that's in my pocket, all of those things took more water to make than all the water I've drunk in my whole lifetime, just one outfit. And when you think about that in the context of how many outfits every single one of us has, the amount of our water footprint outside our homes and outside our taps is absolutely immense. And that means that there are supply chains and jobs and economies and all those things really dependent on us having enough water. And if we don't have enough water, our supply chains, our economies, our infrastructure will start to crumble. Now, I've been to cities, for example, in Australia. There's a city called Walgett where they've turned the tap off, and you have a number of these towns in South Africa that have the same issue. And there are for sale signs that are littering the streets. You drive down the street or run down the street, in my case, and there are for sale signs as far as you can see. And the problem with that is that people can't move their properties. Nobody wants to buy in a place that has no water. There are people trying to sell their businesses and their companies, but how do you sell a store when the entire population is leaving? These are really big problems, not just for the environment, but for our societies and for our economies. And they're not just a problem for us, they're a problem for the next generation. I'm old. I'm going to leave this planet behind for the next generation, who are going to suffer trying to figure out how to survive, how to fulfill their dreams in a world where there's just not enough water.
Very interesting. You've also been in our country, and
Yes.
Beaufort West specifically. So just share your experience and tell us about the situation there.
Yeah. I've never been to a city or a town where they have literally run out of water. And in Beaufort West, they had run out of water. So we went there, and instead of going out and running straight from town, I went on the back of a truck with the community that delivers water to households. And we loaded up these trucks with 5 and 10 litre plastic bottles of water. And we drove out into the outskirts of the community, and we had to physically deliver these containers of water. And we delivered them to young kids, people who'd stayed home from school to wait for the water to come. We had kids and teenagers running along after our truck, begging us for more water. When we tried to turn right instead of left, and the people to the left were wanting water, it was harrowing, very, very confronting, because we had to turn right in order to continue the path that we were going, but the people to the left wanted water. So, this is not a problem that's going to go away anytime soon. Praying and hoping for rain is not a solution, nor is it a strategy. We need to act, and we need to act now to try to figure out how we're going to solve this problem for the future. This is not the first time that Beaufort West has run out of water. This is something that's going to happen more and more frequently across more and more cities, and we have to do something about it.
What is the long-term effect of water shortages?
Well, if we don't have water, we die. I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds dreadful and sounds very melodramatic, but it is true. If we don't have water for 7 days, we don't live any longer. So the ultimate effect of not having water is that we don't have life. The mid to short term issue is that societies and economies start to collapse and to be affected by it. There's an old saying that even if you have money, if you don't have water, you can't buy life. And I think that unfortunately that is the case. I think that in conditions of water scarcity, one is forced to make very different decisions about where you place your factories, where you place your production and your manufacturing, because water is such an integral part of everything we do and everything we are.
Whose responsibility is it to take action, find a solution, and create awareness in the process?
When I first started this, I thought it was a technology problem, to be honest. I thought this is ridiculous. Surely we can have the technology that can solve a lot of these water issues. I know we can't afford to do things the way our parents and our grandparents did them before us, but surely there are ways to solve this problem. We're smart enough. The reality is that there are technology-based solutions that exist. Even just this morning, I went and had a look at a piece of technology that pulls water out of the atmosphere, condenses it, and makes it into drinking water. So that's not the problem. The problem is that water is not considered to be important or a priority. And the responsibility for that lies with every single one of us. It is up to us to create a consumer, people-focused campaign where we say, you policymakers, you companies, you people in positions of authority, you need to act now to adopt new technologies, to adopt new systems and policies, and change the way that things are made, change the way that things are grown, so that we make sure that we have enough water, not just for us, but for the next generation. I think part of that also is about encouraging investors to make smarter decisions in the companies that they invest in, make sure that those companies have good, strong water strategies, and really are responsible water citizens. And I think, that's sounds all long and complicated, and at 6:30 in the morning is probably too much for most people to kind of get their heads around. So what I really say to everybody is get out there and show you care about water, because we need to make saving water so famous it's not just the right thing to do, it's the only thing to do. So if there's one thing that you could do, it is to start talking about water, to say we care about water. And a big part of this running campaign is getting people to get out there and run. And by running and tweeting and sharing, show that you care about water, that it is something that can be kicked down the road for future generations or future people or for tomorrow. This is a problem for today and it needs to be solved now.
I wish we had more time, but thank you so much for talking to us about this and for the awareness that you are creating, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Dit was Mina Guli, 'n wateraktivis en dan ook hoofuitvoerende beampte van Thirst.
Welkom by die Groot Ontbyt se YouTube kanaal. As jy dit nog nie gedoen het nie, maak seker jy teken aan deur op die rooi subscribe knoppie te druk. Yo, woo, woo.